This is the first half of our double main event, and it is for the Impact Wrestling X Division Championship. Introducing first is the challenger from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, weighing in at 233 pounds. He is the winner of the prestigious Pittsburgh Pro Wrestling Classic, and he is the submission specialist, Spencer Slade.
It's not out of the question, Lundell, that Spencer could be that bridge to join together Impact, AEW, and IWC all at once as a defending X Division champion, and it would send the entire X Division from TJP and Ace Austin and Trey Miguel and all the top stars there, set them on their ear as the entire dynamic would change.
Spencer Slade obviously not short on confidence going into the biggest match of his life. And he said, if you tune into our Proving Ground series exclusively on Facebook this past week, Spencer Slade said, this is a fight between two men who belong in the wrestling ring. Two men who belong in this sport. And Spencer Slade believes that he is at the top of this profession only a few months in.
Sometimes you can manifest your destiny. Sometimes you can think it, you can envision it, and you can achieve it all together quicker.
And now, presenting to you, the Impact Wrestling X Division Champion from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, weighing in at 230 pounds. He is the walking weapon, Josh Alexander.
And you can have all the confidence in the world, Joe. You can be rolling on momentum, rolling on the winds of the past. But when you come face to face with the walking weapon, when you come face to face with the current Impact Wrestling X Division champion, that all goes out the window.
It is headgear versus headgear in this matchup. Spencer used it as an ode to his amateur roots and also a sign of strength and motivation that he's overcome obstacles life has thrown at him. Josh Alexander originally did it to protect himself after he came back from a serious ear injury, but since then it has become a major calling card and also a source of strength for Josh Alexander. Something's got to give in this contest.
Well, we've seen Josh Alexander face the top talent Impact Wrestling has to offer since he's won that X Division championship. And look at Spencer Slade. He realizes he is one win away from immortality, Joe.
You know,
if Spencer Slade becomes the X Division champion, his name will be in the history books forever.
Yeah, and we've seen Spencer come very close to that type of immortality. Keep in mind his challenge of the Super Indie Championship some months back against Pillman Jr. Keep in mind the victor of the Pittsburgh Pro Wrestling Classic Invitational Trophy. He's left that in the back. He has tunnel vision tonight. It's all on the walking weapon. It was at the Rebellion pay-per-view some 35 days ago. Alexander defeated Ace Austin and TJP to gain that championship. Alexander is a former Super Indie champion as well as a unified Impact and IWC Tag Team champion. Josh Alexander has done just about everything. Spencer Slade wants to be in that same position.
Josh Alexander hasn't been quiet over the last few weeks about wanting to take on all challengers, all comers for that X Division championship, regardless of if they're contracted to Impact Wrestling or not. And we're seeing that firsthand.
Well, keep in mind, you talk about the thirst for competition. Josh Alexander, was a part of Super Indie back this past fall here in this very building.
Former Super Indie winner, Joe.
Yeah, absolutely. On a couple of occasions. And you can count on one hand the amount of people who've done that and have a lot of fingers left over. But Alexander, rose to the occasion there as an alternate. He got the call the day of and came down from Toronto on no preparation to compete in that tournament. That shows you the competitive drive inside of Josh Alexander, but so too is that in Spencer Slade. You can see the focus in his eyes. He has been a polished, decorated athlete his entire life, Spencer Slade, back down to his academic career as well. He's been a national champion. He's been an All-American. He's been highly recruited. And another thing you got to keep in mind, too, is how will the elements factor into this matchup? Of course, we still do have a rain that's coming down and affecting these athletes and these fans. And again, we thank everybody for their support. You can see it in the shot there, and their patience. Yeah, will that throw someone off their game? Every high risk becomes that much riskier in this environment. When it comes to holds, which Spencer and Josh both specialize in, if it's wet out there, it could be easier to slip in and out of holds and maneuvers. And a slicker surface is going to affect your grip. It's going to affect your core vertical base. A lot of different elements that people don't think about. But wrestling is a game of inches sometimes. It's a game of seconds, and it's a game of maneuvering your body and mastering leverage. And if it's a wet, slick surface, either on the canvas or these guys' bodies, they're going to be out of that element, and they're going to have to adjust on the fly.
Something that's worth bringing up, Joe, is you and I from the broadcast booth, some of the wrestlers in the back, they're watching this match thinking, wow, Spencer Slade getting this opportunity so young into his career. How fortunate is he? And on the opposite hand, Spencer Slade feels like this is his opportunity that he's earned and that he's deserved since he stepped foot in the IWC ring. He feels like contrast of beliefs here, Joe.
He feels like it's a birthright. And Spencer nearly went all the way to in the Eliminator, just narrowly bested by the reigning champion Andrew Palace. But Spencer was really one of the shining stars of that event and lasted until nearly the very, very end.
That's why this match, is so even, regardless of the experience between the two. Spencer Slade has been so impressive in the course of his short career. And
Spencer with that rear naked choke. Alexander into the ankle lock. We've seen Spencer develop that rear naked choke more and more in recent times. He choked out Cole Carter in that main event, the Eliminator we just touched on a moment ago. Alexander has always specialized in that ankle lock, but that's also a move Spencer has utilized. So should be interesting to see the breakdown and the strategy here when it comes to hold for hold.
And Spencer making Alexander think about it as he takes his time getting back in the ring.
Also, what's Spencer thinking about? You got to keep in mind, Spencer, yes, he's been in some major high-profile matches in IWC and AEW, but I don't think Spencer Slade has ever faced anyone quite like Josh Alexander. I don't think there is anyone else quite like Josh Alexander, period.
Well, what's pretty impressive to me, Joe, is, me being in there as young as Spencer is to his career against a guy like Josh Alexander, getting an opportunity at such a prestigious championship. I'd be nervous as hell, and it doesn't seem Spencer's like that. It doesn't seem that Spencer is feeling those nerves right now, Joe.
Well, no, he's not, and I think that part of that is just what some frequently call overconfidence, but Spencer believes in himself. And as long as Spencer does not believe this match is a formality, or birthright, or a foregone conclusion, that confidence will help him here rise to a new plateau. But it's a big if, because Josh is so seasoned, and look out. Josh, the official, getting caught up in some of this action. It's so quick, and Alexander was firing from multiple different locales and directions, and Spencer tried to use that to his advantage. But Alexander ahead for a moment, but the belly-to-belly release suplex connects.
See the rain coming down in those different shots thanks to Jeremy and the guys at 2-to-1 Media. The rain is coming down hard, and there's no tent, nothing over the ring. These guys are having to deal with the elements here, Joe.
Hey, other promotions out there have a rain delay and wait for it to subside. We just go straight forward, brave the elements, because IWC is all about bucking the system.
No. Come on, Josh.
And now Spencer, the chin lock, locked in tight there on the current X Division champion. And what would happen, Joe, if Spencer is able to dethrone Josh Alexander? Does Spencer Slade show up on Impact Wrestling next week with the X Division Championship? How do they explain that?
They'll explain that he beat Josh Alexander. 2-to-1 will be sending some tape to Windsor, Ontario, addressed to Mr. Estamore.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a call to be made by your buddy Scott as Alexander with the near fall.
Well, bottom line is Scott and then the rest of Impact Management sanctioned this title defense.
Absolutely.
And
kudos to them.
And we're happy to have this championship here and have Impact Wrestling as part of IWC. in some form or another. The X Division champion has been appearing in IWC dating back to AJ Styles in 2002. There's a rich history of that championship in IWC rings.
And I think that's just another reason why the X Division Championship is so prestigious. Not just the fact that, of who has held that title in the past. Not just that it's been going on about 20 years that championship has been in existence, but the fact that it has been defended across different promotions. Just like Josh Alexander's continuing the trend tonight.
Yeah. We'll look through the history of AJ Styles and Low-Key and Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels and DJ Z and Kurt Angle. And just so many men through the years who have worn that X Division championship proudly. And Spencer could add his name to just a timeless, priceless list. But easier said than done. Alexander unloading.
Absolutely. Throwing those chops so hard it was Alexander. But Spencer able to get it in. And, a huge belly-to-belly throw.
Yeah. Spencer has incredible timing and instincts. For a man as young as he is in the wrestling game, as Spencer gets an ear fall, he's able to sense when Alexander is building that momentum, when that pendulum begins to swing, and Spencer finds a way to shut things down and put himself back in the driver's seat.
Instincts beyond his years, absolutely, from Spencer Slade. Going to the midsection of Josh Alexander in the corner, wearing him down, taking the wind out of him, and now into the chokehold.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a choke, it's more of a chin lock with the neck crimp from the rear. And he's doing this to try to soften up that neck. You see the arm is kind of used as a baseline to stretch the neck and pull it away from the shoulder joint. And Alexander able to shift things to get back to his feet, shift the weight of Spencer, and take him off his feet.
And I think that just embarrassed Spencer. Hard clothesline. And another one. Hard back elbow from Alexander. Now hard into the corner. Spencer able to reverse it.
You know, Spencer feels like being embarrassed in public, man. That ego can't handle it. Alexander just breezes past Spencer and buries him with a boot. Good grief, this could be Al still the champion. No.
Almost took the head off of Spencer Slade, but only enough for two. Josh Alexander wondering to himself, what do I have to do?
You can see how heavy both these athletes are breathing. The toll this matchup has taken out of champion and challenger alike. And double underhook.
See here, double underhook.
Alexander could go for that pile driver we've seen him utilize over the years, and Spencer with a counter. That back body drop. Alexander is not as much of a physical, overwhelming presence, or especially with that choke. I was going to talk about the size similarities between champion and challenger. Spencer, that rear choke again, and Alexander ducks down. It's throat first. Spencer hits the top rope.
We've seen Spencer use that maneuver in the past, getting at least one or two victories, and the huge big boot had it well scouted with the back elbow.
If he gets him this victory, I think he'll be using that one for life.
Third time, off the second rope, into the spinning neck breaker, and Spencer Slade into the cover.
This could do it, and Alexander slips the right shoulder. Spencer did not put nearly enough weight on the shoulders of Alexander. Spencer, a cocky cover, and that's where that mentality can hurt him. That's where that mentality of feeling this is in the bag is going to affect Spencer Slade, who's always had just a massive, massive ego since day one.
Spencer, what's he going for here? Has Alexander on the shoulders. Alexander able to fight out of it. Into the double underhook. Spencer reverses it again, but Alexander into the cover. Two, and a kick out from Spencer.
And both men still intertwined with one another. Alexander comes up with the ankle. Alexander picks the ankle on the way up.
And we've seen Spencer Slade use the ankle lock in the past as well.
Alexander has put this on Wardlow. He's back to the choke. Spencer takes out the vertical base of Alexander, who rolls forward and bridges for two.
Spencer used that rear naked choke to defeat Miles Monroe in the latest episode of the Proving Ground series. Not enough to take down the current X Division champion.
Traps him again for two. Spencer, without question, has big, big momentum heading into this matchup. And it's shown in the way he's competed and the confidence and poise he has shown, but is it enough to overcome the walking weapon?
Oh my goodness, Joe, if Spencer Slade is able to win the X Division championship, I'm afraid we'll never hear the end of it. Toe hold. Into the ankle lock again. Is Spencer going to tap out? He's in the center of the ring, Joe. So far to get to the ropes.
Well, Spencer's trying to stand on his free leg. That's almost a counter of sorts. It alleviates a lot of that pressure. Spencer can put some of his weight on it and is able to use it to fling Alexander nearly into the referee.
That's the second time the referee has been out of position.
Jeez, and that fireman carry slam, Alexander landed right on that shoulder and that neck that Spencer was working on earlier. And Alexander got dinged in a bad way.
Yeah, he got rattled. Alexander holding his head, and now into the choke again.
Yeah, there's nowhere for Alexander to go here.
Is this it?
We have a new X Division champion. History's going to be made.
We're about to make history, Joe. IWC Wrestling at the Ballpark. We're about to bring the X Division Championship to IWC.
Wait, Alexander's got the ankle. He's trying to turn out of the choke and now turn into the ankle lock, and he's done it.
Flawlessly into the ankle lock. How smooth was that? And just like that, Josh Alexander has the momentum.
Yeah, Spencer had to wait on the right foot again as a counter, and Alexander chops him down and stitches in the body scissors. Nowhere for Spencer to go here.
He has it in, Joe. That's all.
Here is your winner and still Impact Wrestling X Division Champion, the Walking Weapon, Josh Alexander.
Hey man, Spencer wrestled a hell of a match, and him and Alexander went back and forth time and again. And there were a couple of occasions there I thought it was a very real possibility, if not a formality, that we would have a major controversial changing of the guard and the Impact Championship X Division title would change hands. But Josh Alexander, in the bottom of the ninth, pulls one out.
Spencer Slade looked like he had the ankle lock well scouted, but when Alexander was able to wrap the legs and wrench it in, there was nowhere for Spencer to go. He was forced to tap out. And you know what? I mean, say what you will about Spencer Slade, but I'm impressed.
Oh, without a doubt.
He took the X Division champion, a former Super Indy winner, to the limit.
Spencer can back up a lot of his boisterous nature. There's never been any denying of that. And Spencer, I think, saw himself on a new level tonight.
And, well, what are we going to see here? Wow.
From one set of headgear to the other.
Wow.
A show of respect.
And that's a big deal, Joe. That is a big deal for Spencer Slade. Wait, come on!
No, don't do this.
No!
Don't you dare do this.
You
no!
My.
And Spencer just drilled the headgear clear off of Josh Alexander.
You just had the biggest match of your life. You had the endorsement of the X Division champion, and you do something like that. That is despicable. That is despicable from Spencer Slade. All respect has gone out the window, Joe.
There's only one set of headgear in this locker room, if you ask Spencer Slade, and that belongs to the challenger and maybe the would-be champion here tonight. Spencer does not lose gracefully and does not give a damn about the respect of Josh Alexander, which I think is a total shame.
Yeah, Josh Alexander didn't have to do that. Josh Alexander could have taken his championship all the way back to Impact Wrestling, all the way back to his home in Toronto. It was his choice to extend the hand to Spencer Slade, and Spencer Slade showed that disrespect. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. I'm disgusted, Joe.
A bitter and surly Spencer Slade hits the showers. Josh Alexander's the worst for wear. He may have gotten a stinger in that matchup, but Josh Alexander retains as X Division champion, and our main event is still just a heartbeat away.